This guy makes $250,000 a month with Kettle fried chicken, all from one location.
We serve over 50,000 pieces of chicken every week.
But what is it about this chicken that people just can't get enough of?
Kettle cooking goes back to our colonial ancestors. We're reinventing a lost art so that you today can experience the greatness of Kettle fried chicken.
What makes him the man they come to?
I have spent a half a century trying to come up with the perfect batch of fried chicken. I'm not interested in the fastest or the easiest or the most convenient. I just want to do it the right way.
And how did he build an empire out of just $1,000 and a dream?
I had no money and no clue how to run a business. Every business starts in struggle. The key is to get it out of struggle and into strength.
I'm here to find out how a forgotten cooking method and a 50-year obsession turned a 1,200 square foot restaurant into an LA landmark, and how it can change the way you think about building a business. Awesome. Chef Vinny, good morning.
Paul, how are you?
It's good to see you.
Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you as well.
Let's start with the fact that there's only one Honey's Kettle.
That's right.
Yet you have the reputation of like this wonderful national brand. How is that possible?
Well, it was designed that way. I wanted, when I came here, to make a prototype of a national brand. So the idea was to make this one so incredible that people would think it's a big company.
You sell thousands and thousands of pieces of chicken every week. How is being in this specific location sort of created that demand?
If you know Culver City, we are right in the middle of downtown Culver City. So it's a cross section of people from Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, and then my customer from Compton. They have followed me here.
All right, you mentioned you've got a delivery back there happening.
That's right.
Can we go check it out and maybe help out?
Yeah, let's go see what we get.
Sweet. All right, well, I'm not only interviewing today, I'm here to help, right? And you just got a delivery. Tell us what's going on here. What are we looking at? It looks like boxes of chicken, but give us the juicy details.
This is about 20 cases of chicken times 70 pounds per case. And this particular order is going to cost us $3,200.
Gotcha. And can I just take a peek? I mean, it's just chicken leg quarters. You have the chicken thighs. What parts of chickens do you go through the most?
Well, these thighs.
The thighs,
and legs. Very unusual because people say they hate thighs. But if they ever experience a Honey's Kettle thigh, it'll
never go back.
Around.
Let me ask you about sourcing the best quality product, right? You've been ordering from this same farm for how long now? And
over 30 years.
That's amazing.
We want a farm that has the integrity to know that as a chef, I require these specs and they meet my spec. They're like my business partner. I mean, they know what I'm looking for. They deliver it to me every day. I have my chicken come, and within a couple of days, it's like a 48-hour process from the farm to us to the customer. It's only 48 hours.
What are we paying per pound, actually? That's a good point.
This chicken right now is about $2.18 a pound. Some of that is over $5 a pound.
Yeah. What were some of the biggest challenges in the early days when you were just trying to figure things out?
No credit, no capital, no know-how. The three pillars of why people go out of business, I had all three.
You had all, yet you made it so many years down.
I'm a survivalist. I'm the kind of guy that gets down to nothing and still will find a way to survive.
Awesome. What's next? We have all this chicken we need to process.
Yeah, we got to get this into the cooler.
Okay, let me help you out and let's get this chicken ready for customers. All right, so this is where the magic, so to say, happens with all the chicken prep. What steps need to happen, Chef Vinny, for the chicken to be ready for the kettle?
Well, we try to first marinate it. They call it brining it. So they're going to brine it. It just came in. It's only 48 hours since it came from the farm.
Fresh as can be.
So it's going in the cooler immediately. You don't want to lose temperature on it. So they're going to prep it, marinate it, and get it into the cooler. And from there, the magic happens because of the batter.
Gotcha.
The batter is all-encompassing. All the ingredients are in the batter. A simple recipe of water to what appears to be flour is much more than flour.
I bet. There's a whole science in there.
There's a whole science in it.
The chicken goes in cold into the batter, right? From the fridge.
That's right. And then it goes into the kettle.
Yeah.
And what happens is it floats to the bottom. And as it's floating, because it's wet, it's forming a beautiful shape on it. A nice, crackly, crisp coating on it.
He's so good at explaining it. I'm hungry. Not even time to eat, and I'm already ready to go. In this stage, what are you trying to achieve flavor-wise?
Well, it's like different flavor profiles. I call it like layering it with flavor. Of course, it starts with salt and pepper, right? That's the most basic seasoning. But then I had all these other herbs and spices to just enhance, not take away and mask, but just to enhance the flavor that naturally comes from a good fresh chicken.
Are there any misunderstandings that people may have about properly prepping and frying chicken? Can you give us one fun fact, maybe?
Well, if you just look at our batter, you would think, oh, that looks like pancake batter. I can just make some pancake batter and do it. No.
It won't stick?
It won't stick. It won't cook properly. Another thing people will think is that, well, the first batch of frying something is always when it's most golden, but how do you have batch after batch after batch?
Perfect. Yeah, that's a big one.
Experience. And most people say, oh man, I made some fried chicken. It was beautiful, but the first batch was great. By the time I made the third batch, it was all brown. We want the beauty of the chicken to be so beautiful. It's like a painting before you start eating it.
There's a lot going on. When you started Honey's Kettle, what was maybe the biggest challenge or two that you were faced with in the early days?
It was the finances. I didn't really know exactly what I was doing, so I had to kind of learn as I was going. And I was so busy doing all these different jobs, I couldn't focus on all parts of it.
Right.
I had to focus on the part that was going to win.
When you were starting out, how much of this were you doing yourself?
I was doing it all.
Just you?
Oh, my.
Start to finish?
Start to finish. And I guess I sacrificed some of my back health as a result of all the work I was doing.
Really?
I've cooked more chicken than any man, I like to claim, that ever lived on this planet. And I just wouldn't stop because, one, I was trying to figure out how to make it where I can hand it off to other people to do it exactly like you.
Well, I think it's time for what? Once it comes out of the fridge, we're going to go batter it?
Yeah, we're going to go batter it in just a second and show how it goes into the kettle.
Let's go take a look. So everybody has their own idea of chicken batter. When you make yours, what are you aiming for?
I can tell you that you can see little particles in there. It's got body to it. It's not watery. Too much water, the batter will slip off the chicken too fast and you won't get any crumbs on the top. And then the little particles you see are different types of spices and herbs. You know, famous Kentucky guy, Colonel, we used to say I have 11 herbs and spices.
Yeah, what do you got, 11 or 12?
Got about 15 herbs and spices.
Okay. Proprietary, it's a Honey's Kettle.
Absolutely.
Were you ever faced with pressure to maybe cut corners and move a little faster than what you wanted to do?
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Many times I thought, can I lower my cost by buying less superior product? And every time I came to that decision, I said, don't do it. Because if you already have a hard time, the final death knell is when you start cheapening the product.
Yeah.
So even though I wasn't making money, I always emphasize on one day I'll make money. Right now, I got to deliver a fantastic product.
All right, well, let's go get some biscuits done. Some of your delicious biscuits. Let's go see how it's made. All right, we have to talk about the amazingly delicious biscuits. What makes the recipe so unique?
You know, I told you I'm a product developer, right? Which means I'm a perfectionist. I search for the best ingredients, and I'm looking for balance. And then I came up with this beautiful buttermilk biscuit. It's tender. It's a little sweet, like honey. It's got the beautiful dimple in it for people who want to put butter there or honey or jelly. You know, I always say, well, people ask, what's the secret ingredient? Love.
Love.
All my people love what they do. And you can tell by the way they deliver the product.
How many biscuits do you go through a day?
Well, you see this rack?
Yeah, this is just the start of it?
This is just the start of the day. This is going to get us to the afternoon. We're going to make a total of 2.5 of these racks to get to the end of the day.
What about unused ones? Let's say the day wraps up, you close doors, you've got something left. What happens? How do you discard them?
Well, we don't discard them. We have a shelter that we work with
Oh, that's good.
that is feeding people, have situations that,
Delivered to them?
well, they actually come pick it up. So we preserve it, we refrigerate it, and we give it to them. Any of our leftover stuff, we do that with.
That's amazing. What's your advice to others in the food industry to minimize food waste?
You don't want to cook too much, right? So we have a method here called batch cooking. So we'll do a dozen biscuits at a time, a dozen pieces of chicken at a time, and that avoids the waste.
So it's all about
putting it out in small batches.
As the business grew, Chef Vinny, tell us how hard was it for you to let go of these processes and still keep the quality and the taste just amazing?
I always had this thing that I'm gonna always be hands-on and I'm gonna do it myself, but I realize that long-term, you just can't do that. I've done everything that they do, so I know how it's supposed to be done. And all I do now is I'm the master chef with a lot of sous chefs around me. And I just go around and I talk to them about how we're supposed to do it. If it's not right, we gotta do it over again.
All right, I see the chicken's almost ready to go. I can't wait to try it. Let's go and give it a shot.
Sounds good.
Are you ready
Absolutely.
to try your own chicken? You've been eating it for years. How does it taste to you still? Like it's always new?
Oh, it's still amazing. I can't even believe it sometimes that it can be that good to me after all this time. That's a sign it's really good.
Absolutely. Can't wait to try it. Awesome. I'm excited for this. This is a rich, delicious looking plate. What should I be expecting to taste in the right, perfectly fried Honey's kettle chicken?
Well, first you gotta notice the look of it.
It looks amazing. I mean, look at this. I'm gonna take the drumstick.
Yeah. When you see something that beautiful, you expect when you bite into it, it's gonna be good. And people talk about this part.
Wow.
When you bite it, you find a spot on the chicken.
Yeah, what's the reaction we're looking for from?
People like crunchy things.
The batter just have a perfect amount of seasoning, the saltiness, the pepperiness to it.
Like I said, we're not trying to overpower anything. Then we also have the Clarence Brown lead beef.
Ooh, yeah. Mashed potatoes.
And that's real gravy, by the way.
I'm just gonna work on this myself then. So what do we have here? We have the gravy, but it includes chicken and...
Nothing out of the can, no powdered
You can tell.
potatoes. Those are real potatoes.
This is so good.
Killed.
What kind of reaction, probably like this, do you expect from new customers trying honey kettles?
I never boast about it. Let the chicken do the talking.
Chicken do the talking, no pun intended.
And people will say, "Oh, I've had all kinds of fry. I don't know what to expect. Maybe it's got overhyped."
Okay.
Our strategy is when people overhype it, it goes beyond their expectations.
Very well seasoned, crispy, juicy. Like seasoned to perfection though. That is delicious.
What's the furthest people have come so far to try this chicken? So,
People drive from San Diego. I've had people come here from Florida. We were coming to town, but we wanted to come here first. The first place from the airport.
say I want to make this kind of chicken at home and get as close as possible. What's your advice to our viewers to perfect it at home?
Look for it online, the different products we sell.
You can sell all of this?
Have the batter product online.
And so your batter's going to have these specific instructions on how to try to get to this result?
Exactly. It'll come as close as it possibly can. It won't be exactly because we're professionals,
right?
But it'll get you very, very close to what you have here.
Thank you for this amazing feast, Chef Vinny. Why don't we free up this table and let some customers out there?
Okay.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Get outside, get some air. Awesome. Chef Vinny, sitting here is very clear why this place is such a landmark location. How many years were you here already, and why did you choose a single location for so many years?
Well, I've been here now 20 years.
20 years.
We actually acquired the business. It was about 3 years before that, so it's 23 years that we've been here.
And why single? Why not have expanded already to 3, 4 other locations here in LA in the last 22?
Well, you remember my story of how I got started. You know, family and friends, loans, and then a fire. It knocked me down where I had been in so much debt that now I can start to see my way out of debt. I'm not gonna do what I did in doing this one. The next time around, we'll have the money before we get started.
When you first opened up 20 plus years ago, what did rent look like on this place as compared to what it is today?
$3,500 when I started.
And today?
$15,000 now. The area has changed a lot since I started. Amazon's here, or you got Apple here, and it's just made the property values go skyrocket.
On a daily basis, how many customers go in and out of these doors?
Probably an average of 500.
With that scale, Chef Vinny, what's the biggest operational challenge to handle that?
Well, it's because when you're on that level, you're spending a lot of money. $80,000 for payroll. You cannot afford to miss the payroll. We're spending enormous amount of money on depreciation because we've been here 20 years. And then we're always testing new things that we have to bring in, stuff to make our job easier. We're doing that all the time. So it's very challenging.
What's the average ticket price?
About $30 per person.
In terms of percentage of revenue coming from dine-in, takeout, and delivery, can you help us understand that?
It's about a 50-50 split. A little bit more people come in and buy. The rest of it is through either catering or the platforms.
After operating costs, where do your margins fall into on average?
Above 15%.
That's really good.
Yeah, that is good.
Curious how you achieve that, because most food industries are in the low 5s. Yeah.
Percent. That's because they have so many layers of labor. A hostess, a assistant manager, a manager, busboys. That's what drives up
Keeping it lean.
Yeah, we don't do table service, so that helps to keep it lean and mean.
Besides payroll, what is the other biggest expense on a monthly basis?
Well, the food cost is a big one.
What percentage of all revenue do you want to keep food costs at?
Ideally between 30 and 35%. We're a little bit higher because of the quality of the ingredients that go into it. But they know when you get something high quality, you're going to have to
pay for it. Launching a business is actually a lot like cooking fried chicken. If you don't do it right, you can get burned. Therefore, you need to set your company up properly right from the get-go. But what if you're not quite sure how to do that? That's where Busy comes in. Busy lets you launch your business the simple way, forming your LLC, filing everything with the state, and making sure you're official right from the start without hidden fees, confusing fine print, or getting lost in paperwork. Busy even gives you a professional business address with digital mail scanning so you can stay organized and legit from day one. And unlike a lot of companies in this space, Busy's pricing is fully transparent. There are no subscriptions quietly renewing year after year. You get clear upfront pricing and you only pay for what you need when you need it. If you're serious about building something real, don't just wing it. Click the link below to get started the right way with Busy. When it comes to the word growth, Chef Vinny, what does that word mean to you today with so many years of experience behind you?
Growth is like the turtle. It's slow and steady. Year over year, we're looking for about somewhere between 7 and 10%.
That is
growth.
Fair and modest.
Year. But we're on an upward trajectory all the time. So now growth is one thing. Expansion is something totally different.
That's the follow-up question is if you're thinking of expanding, where's your head at right now in terms of what's that going to cost? What locations you're thinking? I know you mentioned partners, but besides the partner side of things.
A typical location like this would be $1 million to $1.5 million.
Wow.
But we can do smaller locations in different spots.
Like a little pop-up or something?
Yeah, where it's like a kiosk, where we only need 1,000 square feet. We can do that. We can scale it down, or we can keep it like this, which is more of a flagship location.
Right.
So in the case of a smaller building, we would, it wouldn't be $1 million, it'd be about $750,000.
Still, I would say not very relevant to the average person, right? With that kind of an upfront investment.
Yeah, that's a big investment.
Trying to find that which is going to be more applicable to the average viewer, average person. Where do we get started? But
one of the things is you can go into more challenging areas. Where I came from was very challenging, but the rental is cheap.
Different, yeah.
The build out, you can go, there's different ways to slice that number into about $500,000. Like if you take a pre-existing restaurant that already has the hood on it and some of the work has already been done, that doesn't require as much of an investment.
All right, blitz time with our lovely chef, Vinny. Are you ready? All right, what's the first thing you do when you walk into the restaurant each
I
morning?
give a robust good morning to everybody. If I don't do that and I come in any other way,
Something's wrong.
they're like, what's going on with him?
Okay, what surprises people most when they work here for the first time?
Friendly, I think the environment is. We have, people behind the counter who, if you hear a song you like, dance. It's okay.
Music in the kitchen, yes or no?
Absolutely, music must be in the kitchen. I come in here and that music's not on. I said, this is not a library.
What's the least glamorous part of running a restaurant? Least glamorous?
Late at night, coming in here, that kitchen gets broken down pretty dirty. And it's not a pretty sight when you come in.
Okay, one thing that instantly tells you if someone's a serious cook.
It's how they handle their station.
Okay.
A serious cook is gonna keep their station clean and organized at all times.
Last one, what keeps you excited after all these years?
The possibilities of where this thing could go. Remember, the goal was to be the greatest American restaurant, past, present, future. And some days when people are coming in here and hauling this food out of here, it's so exciting.
And you don't build what you're talking about in a matter of days. This takes generations.
If you become an overnight success, you better watch out because that will lead to ruin. You'll actually think you did something. You didn't really earn it. It just kind of came your way.
Tell our audience, where are we going next? Something very unique and tied very well to your history.
Well, I got my start in Culver City, and I started at the warehouse in Culver City, which is only a few blocks from here.
Can we go check it out?
Yeah, let's go check it out.
Chef Vinny, this is where it all started for you.
That's right.
What was it like when you first walked through those doors 50 years ago?
Well, the moment I remember the most was when the boss came in. I introduced myself and said, Mr. Stennis, I'm Vincent Williams. I'm the warehouse manager. And he looked up at me and said, son, you got a critical job.
What kind of work were you doing and how old were you when you got started?
Well, when we first started, we were processing chicken for the restaurant. So that what you saw, the marination, we were doing that.
And how old were you?
Delivering. I was like 23 years old.
Okay. What did you do before you stepped through this building?
I worked in a convalescent hospital in the kitchen there. But then this was the second place. The first place was where the original store was on Normandy and Adams.
What did you learn about food starting to work here?
Well, because I was in the warehouse, I had to go to the farms. So I got a chance to see from the start of it to the finish of it. So I was learning all about the chicken business from a very early age.
If you could walk in and see your younger self, what would you tell yourself, like right now, today?
That excellence is the only answer. When I was in school, I just kind of was floating. But I learned when I'm in business, and I should have applied the same thing to school, you gotta go for excellence.
The two would have been an even better combo, you think?
That's right.
What are you spending on marketing every month? And can you break down the different channels?
About $3,000 a month. The marketing that we get from all the interviews I do, and the TikTok and everything, is just astronomical, the return on that marketing.
So you're spending $3,000 to create the TikTok, the short format. Who's doing that? Is that your daughter?
My daughter.
Your Shayla? Okay.
I'm probably overpaying her, but
So you don't track things like cost per customer walking through the door. You wouldn't have those numbers. You wouldn't need those numbers,
I
right?
don't need those numbers. I just know that from what my people tell me, there's constantly people flowing in saying, I saw you on TikTok.
Yep.
I saw you in this interview. So everything that we do, if it's 4 million people seen on UpFlip or the TikTok going viral, all that equals people coming in the door.
And you can feel the
Or
extra
you
traffic,
can
yeah.
feel the traffic.
Okay.
If I didn't have it, the traffic would be much less.
Vinny, we have interviewed you in the past. It's been a few years, and we put together some amazing, interesting questions from our viewers, and we'd like to get your take on some of them. So you ready?
Yeah.
The big one was, do you ever consider buying the building instead of paying high rent for so many years?
Well, yeah, of course, that's the ideal situation, but it has to be for sale.
What are your overhead costs, and how does that compare to similar restaurants? Walk us through that.
We buy $50,000 worth of chicken every month.
Wow.
We're paying $80,000 in labor every month.
Okay.
So it's a heavy, heavy cost
Wow,
operation.
it is.
But we also have heavy repairs and maintenance. because you got to get right on it. If the refrigerator goes down, you can't wait.
Yeah.
A stove goes down, you can't wait. So we know that we're going to have higher costs because we're constantly reinvesting in the company.
A lot of viewers were inspired by the fact that you got started with just $1,000 in your pocket.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through how you made that amount work in the early days?
Well, when I say $1,000, obviously the equipment and all the other stuff
Was already
much
in place.
more than $1,000. But in order to secure the building, it was $1,000 down. That's all the landlord wanted from
I
us.
see.
$1,000 down. And from there, we had to begin to raise the money. We raised some money from family and friends. We refinanced our house. And it kept going up and up and up. It's the worst way to start a restaurant. You really need to have money in hand. You know what your budget is, and then you try not to go over your budget. But in my case, because it was such a unique opportunity, the very day I met him, he said, honey and chicken. Oh, that sounds good. I'm putting you in front of the line. 5 people were ready to sign a deal. I'm putting you in the front. And it was because he loved the concept of honey and chicken. And so he said, give me $1,000 down and I'll turn over the keys
And you can run the place.
and you can
Yeah.
your play.
One question that came up a lot is the incident that you had here at the restaurant, right? You've been here for 20 years, everything burned down or almost everything. How did you recover from that stressful experience? And where did insurance play? How did they play a role in helping you get back on your feet?
Well, let me put a plug for Farmers Insurance on this one.
They stood by your side?
Oh my God. If it wasn't for the long-term relationship I had with the broker, they might not have covered it because only 4 months in, the place caught on fire. So it was an equipment failure, but it was devastating. I mean, you know, I'm telling you, I emptied every pocket. I borrowed every dollar I can possibly put my hands on. And then 4 months in, just long enough to make bills, place catches on fire. I was devastated. I said, they finally got me. This is over.
Somebody's out to get you,
They're
right?
out to get me. That's how it is in business. They're out to get you. They don't get you now. They may get you in 50 years. But something is working against you. And that was the case there. But because farmers stepped in, they restored the building. They did not pay any of the other bills that had been made. So as we began to rebuild, all our systems improved. It kind of reshaped the way we were doing things. So
In a better way.
in a good way. So you
Yeah.
always kind of got to look at the bright side. The bright side was we came back stronger than before.
All right. Many people expressed interest in becoming a part of the franchise, but I don't see one yet. So give us a little insight, if you will.
Well, franchising is more than a notion. It requires a lot of legal work, a lot of
Yes, it
management
does.
work. Everyone says, oh, franchise, because it is a franchisable concept. But you want to do it right. Because a lot of times when you rush, you wind up not going over everything you should have went over with the first one. And then the thing implodes on itself. So really what I think I'm looking for at this stage is a big strategic partner. Someone who has restaurant and management experience in the food business. Basically someone who can build the infrastructure and then we provide the heart and soul of the business.
Guys, I know you're enjoying this episode. Do us a huge favor. Take a second, like and subscribe so that we can bring on more amazing entrepreneurs like Chef Vinny. To what extent is your family involved? Help us understand the picture.
My family, let's start with the grandchildren. They actually work here when they're out of school. So they're learning about the business. They're learning to have that heart for the business. But it all works back to my kids. When they first were born, I knew I needed to start putting it in their head that one day this is going to be your responsibility. So they're intimately involved. The best way for kids to be involved is to go out and find their own life in their own companies, their own passions, their own directions. And then they bring back all of that experience. So like, you know, Shayla is a marketing wizard and she's got us out there everywhere. My son Trenton is a designer. He designs the packages for the store.
Looks tasty just by looking at it.
And also he designed our beautiful catering menu.
Yeah.
And there's a little story behind that Volvo he picked up.
I was gonna say, pick the car.
A little storyline about it. When I was in Compton, I had a Volvo, and I refurbished that Volvo like 4 times. It was like we were connected by the hip.
Yeah.
And so he decided to put that into the storyline.
That's cool.
One of our origin stories. And then for my son Marcus is a businessman extraordinaire in the area of real estate, but he's a good thinker and he knows numbers. So I'm ideally set up for the 2nd generation, and we're starting already on the 3rd generation, because I do want this to be like the Ford Motor Company. No matter how many years go by, there'll always be a Williams sitting in an important seat on the board of directors. That's the dream of where I'm trying to take this in. And I didn't mention my wife.
Oh, yeah.
Stanford, let me say,
Gotta mention your wife.
valedictorian out of high school, Stanford educated, USC doctor. So that kind of says it all.
Any new recipes are in the works since we last met?
Well, if it's gonna be an all-American restaurant,
Yeah.
you gotta have an old-fashioned cookie. So I'm working on a icebox cookie.
What's icebox though?
Well, it's an old-fashioned thing where you make the cookie dough,
Yeah.
and you stick it in the freezer.
I see.
And that helps to infuse all the flavors into it. And then you slice it and bake it as you need.
Pre-make them, freeze them, and then they're ready for baking anytime.
Yeah, so that'll be the next thing. We have a pie shop. We have, 5 or 6 varieties of pies. So we thought, what other delicious dessert would be good for our menu? These icebox cookies are gonna be a smash hit.
Not like you have a wide variety already. It's amazing how you're able to have such a variety, and everything tastes amazing and has the perfect, healthiest ingredient in there. It's been over 2 years ago since we first interviewed you. What kind of growth have you seen year over year since that happened?
About 7 to 10%.
So you're on point pretty consistently.
We're not going down.
Well, I was going to say, did that interview have any meaningful impact in your day-to-day business, the brand awareness? What did that do?
I found out 3.5 million people saw it.
I think it's actually almost 4 million now.
4 million
Yeah.
people saw
Yeah.
it. We're almost like a world famous restaurant because so many people have seen it. They haven't been able to come here to get it. So they have to buy what we have available on the internet, which is some of our proprietary products they could use at home.
I see.
My idea is to have a franchise of people, of home cooks, that they can just buy our stuff and make it wherever they are.
Not a bad idea. You mentioned creating products that last for a generation. What does that mean to you, and how does that tie into the vision of Vinny's Kettle?
Well, I have a recipe vault, Paul, and that recipe vault will show in the future all the iterations I went through to get to the level of perfection. So in there, you're gonna find every step in the process of making every product that we make here. And that's very important, because if I was the only one doing it, how am I gonna hand it off to people? So that way I can now start to pass it on to the next generation, exactly the methods and techniques we use to make every product. And another thing about growing the company, I always hear my customers telling me, don't grow, because when you grow, it's gonna lose something.
Yep.
My message to people that may be interested in being that strategic partner is that let me do what I did. Let the founder be the heart and soul of the business, and all you do is duplicate what we've done. So you don't start coming in and saying, but the stockholders want us to use cheaper oil. We don't do it. If we're gonna have to do that, we'll just stay with one location.
What kind of role does online ordering, delivery, and reservations play a role in this business?
It's the key to the business, because it's almost half of the business. If we didn't have it, we would really been in trouble during the pandemic when people couldn't come to they had to do the social distancing. They didn't allow us to have customers. It all shifted to the platform.
So it's a must-have for a business
It's a must-have. And the other part of it is you can do all the ordering and the paying and the delivery all in one shop.
Right.
You don't have to come here. You can stay at home and let us bring it to you. We're really good at it because of the batch cooking. So by the time it gets home, it's still piping hot. So it's essential to our business. And the people who really got hurt were because they didn't have a takeout aspect to their business.
Right.
Ours has historically been a takeout operation.
You're set up
So we were set up to handle when that tragedy happened.
Do you think happiness comes from contribution or achievement? What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. Living in your purpose, knowing that this is what you were put here for, is a great way to feel happiness. And then making contributions back to the communities is another great thing.
Besides the chicken recipe, what would you say is Honey's Kettle biggest advantage that competitors have a hard time replicating?
Well, most people stay away from parts, the bone-in parts, because it takes too long to cook them. The people will go to strips and tenders and wings.
Easy dip and take out.
Easy to cook, very fast. But if you're gonna do bone-in chicken, you're talking about a minimum of 15 minutes cooking time.
No way.
So can you imagine if you have a rush of 100 people and everybody is waiting when you place the order? Mm-hmm. So we went to a method of batch cooking. So we're constantly bringing out 12, 24, 36 pieces, and it's coming out right on the time that they're buying it, so it doesn't sit long.
Why is it hard for other restaurants to replicate batch cooking?
Well, you have to have the volume. You got to have people buying that chicken, else the health department would come in and say, hey, this chicken's out of temperature. And some places have turned to reheating the chicken in the oven because they're not selling it fast enough. They're waiting for people to come in and buy it. It's already ready. It's out of temperature, they stick it in the oven. We would never do that.
What does customer feedback look like for you in your business to improve food, experience in general?
Well, my Compton store was a test kitchen. When I came out with the recipe for lemonade, it was a test. And what I was doing was as I served it to the customer, I was getting feedback. Some of them were saying, this is too sour. This is too sweet. Eventually, all of that went away and I wasn't getting any comment. Mm-hmm. But, this is amazing stuff. So the customer is good. Anytime a customer says anything, I'm gonna go check it to see what it is they might experience that I can improve on.
Sometimes customers say good things, but they don't really mean it.
I think that's true.
You know what I mean? I've been there. Like, you're afraid to hurt the chef's feelings or the restaurant's feelings. So how do you go out and try it yourself and be like, is this the truth or is this not the truth? I don't know. How do you
before I sell it to them, I've tested it myself.
Yeah.
And if it
can't please everybody too, though.
My standards, then more than likely it's going to meet theirs.
What's been the most unexpected compliment a customer has ever given you?
There's been many. One in particular that comes to mind was this one family said they couldn't get their kid to eat until they brought him to Honey's Kettle. And then she grew up. Now she's a grown woman, but she loved Honey's Kettle hotcakes. And that was the only thing they can get her to eat. That was one story that I heard. And then, people who were, coming to the end of their lives, they said their last meal was some delicious fried chicken. So I've heard some really good stuff from people.
That's amazing. A lot of restaurants compete on pricing. You compete on quality. What's your pricing philosophy and how do you communicate that value to customers?
If you want a really serious meal, home-cooked style meal, everything made from scratch, you come to Honey's Kettle. You're gonna pay more because we're actually selling on the basis of the quality of the product. We're not trying to okay, we're gonna give you 15 pieces of the chicken for $5. It's like, you're gonna give me all this food for only $5. I got to question, how did you come up with this food?
Where did this chicken come?
I mean, is this real food? How are they able to do it? So that's what the whole jacket that fast food restaurants have. They're competing on how low they can get it. We're going to a point where you can feed 10, 20, 100 people for our food for the price you may pay at a single restaurant with drinks, and you may wind up spending $150, $200. Well, that same $200, you're gonna feed 10, 20 people from Honey's Kettle. Yeah, so we're competing. We're in a perfect kind of lane for pricing.
Restaurants tend to have a high turnover of people. What are you doing to keep the culture to where people stay for the long haul?
They know they're part of building something great. You want to participate. If you see something that one day is going to be great and you're in the inner circle, you want to stay in that inner circle because as the circles start to expand, you always will be one of the original ones.
Yeah.
I'm like Tommy Lasorda with the Dodgers. You know, I bleed Honey's Kettle. And as a result of how I bleed it, my people bleed it too. They really believe in what we're trying to do and where we're going with it.
Who was one of the team members I met early on? She said she's been with you since Compton for over 42 years.
Can we bring her on the camera?
Yeah, I mean, is she around?
Oh,
I'm a biscuit lady. Here come the biscuit lady.
You've stuck around for 42 years with Chef Vinny. Any few words to us, our audience, other business owners that maybe are struggling to create a team effort or a team vibe that keeps people sticking around for so long?
You want to know why I stick around for so long?
Why?
Him is my good boss and my brother.
Uh-huh.
I always look up to him. And this business is a gift from heaven. You know, we've been working so hard for that long, so it stays in our heart. And this man, even at midnight, he'll call you, tell you know how to make the batter, we need to change. He never sleeps.
Never stops.
Never
back,
stop.
as he mentioned.
Never stop. His father told me, don't ever leave that boy. Whatever he do, you have to go behind him. But because one day, he's gonna be a rich person. So we're not trying to say we can rich, but we need to survive and have a business to live with.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, his father was, as my father too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
good job.
What strategies have helped you get through the most difficult financial moments in the business?
The cash flow part is the hardest part because it cash flows like this. You don't know, the money may go down, but the bills are up. Managing the cash flow part has been the most difficult part that I've had to learn. And until I master that, I won't feel like I've completed my journey, because that's in the bottom line of it all. It will come back to the money. Are you saving money or are you spending all the money?
Was there a moment where you wanted to quit? And what some of these failures or challenges taught you the most as an entrepreneur?
Going back to Compton, one day I was mopping the floor. The windows were dirty. I needed to get back there and cook. I was so frustrated. I said, I wanted to say, you could take this job and shove it. But suddenly I got this little kind of feeling of, wait, don't say that. Because if you say you hate something or you say that I'm giving up on something, shortly after that, it'll be over. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
It'll eventually be over. So I've always said, don't say that. Always say, there's something blame yourself, something I'm doing wrong, something I need to change in order to figure this thing out. Don't blame it on the business, blame it on yourself. So that was one of the things that really helped get me through some really, really hard things.
So people come to Honey Kettles to try the amazing chicken, no doubt about that. That's the starter. But there's other things on the menu that show how much love and effort you put into it. Give us a few items that really stand out to you.
Well, I would say the unique lemonades that we make here. Mm-hmm. Then we have what I call Clarence Brown red beans and rice. I mean, these are knockout red beans and rice, named after my uncle, who all he ever ate, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, was red beans. Wow. So that recipe is beautiful. Our mashed potatoes and gravy is beautiful. Hot cakes and chicken. You know, we do all kinds of things because we're food innovators.
What has been the most recent refinement to your menu?
Cornbread.
What'd you do?
Skillet cornbread. So I set out to make the best cornbread you will find anywhere in the world. And it took 7 years of research, and we tried it. We didn't like it. Tried this latest iteration. I think they're putting it in the oven.
Working on it right now?
There it is.
Look at that.
Skillet cornbread.
In a real skillet.
Okay.
I don't see that very often.
Now, this cornbread is not like any cornbread you're going to find anywhere.
Okay.
And I'm so proud of it because, you know, it's just another one of those products that everything we do, we want it to be world famous or we won't do it.
What does a day in your life look like today?
Well, I'm in semi-retirement. I will never retire because when you own something, you don't retire.
That's right.
You keep on checking on it. So what I do now is I sit on the outside and then I watch wherever all of our little flaws are.
Yeah, able to see the little details.
Or, things that we need to change, the recipes that I have to rewrite. So I'm in the part now that's the glorious part. The grunt part.
You deserve it. It's been a long journey.
But the part now is just pure fun. I love coming here. I hang out here. The customers say great things to me. And right now we don't have the music on, but this place bumps on a Friday night.
It's because of us. It's our fault. You said that you're not just a chef, but you're a food innovator.
Right.
Can you explain more on what you mean by that?
I'm constantly in the kitchen innovating, making new stuff that people have never had before. We have even a breakfast burrito, and all these things have been part of the innovation.
Some would say stop, stick to what works, what sells the most. How do you balance between the two? Does that make sense?
Good question. My employees keep telling me stop.
Okay. So you have somebody literally telling you.
Putting too much on us. But I told them nobody in the country makes a great carrot salad. But Honey's Kettle makes a great carrot salad. It's not for everybody, but for that one person that loves carrot salad and can't find it anywhere, we're serving it to that one person.
Awesome. And that's clearly how you operate all of the details of Honey's Kettle, and that's amazing.
That's right.
Where does the slow and steady Chef Vinny mindset come from?
Well, the tortoise, the story of the tortoise and the hare.
I hope everybody knows that.
Running out, but the turtle was slow and steady, and then eventually caught up with the hare while the hare was on the side of the road.
Catching your breath, yeah.
Here comes the steadiness, and that works. Nothing happens overnight. Everything takes its own time. So what I began to realize is that the beauty of our operation is that I have now 52 years of experience in the food business.
Wow.
Specifically in the chicken business. We have that many years, that many hours before we launch into a franchise company. How many food companies take 52 years of research and development?
Very, very few is my guess.
You better believe it.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to check out episode 169, our very first interview of Chef Vinny, where he shares more awesome insights and stories about how he built Honey's Kettle Fried Chicken into a most iconic LA landmark. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.